Ready to explore the dark side of the American dream? Capital City Theater presents Stephen Sondheim and John Weidman's Tony-winning musical Assassins, a bold, provocative journey through the minds of 9 individuals who changed or tried to change history by targeting the President of the United States. From John Wilkes Booth to Lee Harvey Oswald and beyond, their stories collide in unexpected, eerie, and even darkly funny ways. Don't miss this gripping and unforgettable production running August 1st through 10th at the Playhouse in the Overture Center. Get tickets and more information at capitalcitytheater.org. Ready to boss up? Madison Magnet is Dane County's premier young professionals organization. Magnet aims to give young professionals a place to connect, collaborate, and develop. Joining Magnet gives you access to a network of 250 plus young professionals, free access to 40 plus events per year, and an opportunity to join committees or the board of directors. Membership starts at only $30. Sign up today to get access to all of Magnet's events and member benefits. Today on CityCast Madison. It's Tuesday, so we're bringing you another edition of Must See Madison. This time, we're getting out of the city to a place in Spring Green that the New York Times described as a, quote, Wisconsin treasure. We're talking about American Players Theater, whose standout season is in full swing. We sat down with APT aficionado, food and culture editor at the Cap Times, Lindsay Christians, to get a preview of this season's plays and how to make the most of a visit. And to note, APT is a sponsor of this podcast, but as always, we're 100% editorially independent, aka we came up with the show idea all on our own. It's Tuesday, July 22nd. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Lindsay, welcome back to CityCast Madison.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, it is a pleasure as always. And, usually when you're on the show, we're talking about food, but you are the food and culture editor over at the Cap Times. So today we're talking culture, okay? The American Players Theater in Spring Green, Wisconsin has kicked off their season, which you know well because you've been out there catching plays. How's it been going?
It's been going really well. We've only been kind of half rained out once. So it's pretty great.
That is good. Yeah, it's like raining in the night.
It's been raining in the night.
I'm just trying to start this off dramatic because we're talking about drama. So we're going to dig into this season's plays. But first, for those who are not in the know or who could just use a brush up, what is American Players Theater?
So American Players Theater is a classical repertory company. It's been around since the late 70s. It's out in Spring Green. They started off producing primarily Shakespeare. They had an outdoor theater up on a hill, and it was originally built with a bridge. They renovated that theater in 2017, so now there's much more flexibility in terms of traps and the sets that they can use. So if you haven't been out to APT in a little while, know that not only has the theater been renovated relatively recently, also they've paved the parking lot. There's more accessibility in the parking lot. And then maybe 10, 15 years ago, they built the Touchstone Theater, which is a 200-seat indoor theater. So of the 5 plays that we'll be talking about today, some of them are in that indoor Touchstone space and some of them are outside.
Wow, I'm realizing I think the last time I saw a proper play there, it was probably the old theater with the bridges and underneath. So there's a lot for me to see.
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute since I've been. And you've written that this theater draws like 100,000 people every season, which is insane. So I just checked the tickets before the interview. And while there are tons of tickets left, there are several shows that have very few seats and some showings that have no seats. So clearly the word is out that APT is the place to be. Why are people from all over just so enamored with this theater? And we'll compare answers and my old answers.
So I think the thing that surprises people sometimes is just how good they are. This is a world-class theater, and it's in rural Spring Green. It takes me an hour to get there from my house, so it is a schlep for a lot of us who live in the city. It's about 30 minutes from the west side of Madison, but the quality of the performances out there is just next level. There was a feature in the New York Times last year about this exceptional place. It's a classical repertory company, but they are redefining what is a classic. So they're doing the classics of tomorrow. They are doing world premieres. There's one this year that we'll talk about. They are still doing these plays that are incredibly rich in language, and they're plays about ideas. So you can go out there and you can have a blast at like a silly farce or a comedy, but you can also go and see high drama. You can see the best, most beautiful productions of Shakespeare in the Midwest. So I think it's the quality of the acting. And the company has also been really deliberate about diversifying not only its core acting company and the people who are creating these beautiful scenes and costumes and everything for us to see, but also just really making sure that they are being as open to audiences as they possibly can. And it also means that when you look at those ticket prices, there are a lot of ways to get less expensive tickets to APT. They run specials all the time. So I think they've really built a loyal following, and every time I go out there, I'm reminded why.
It's a crown jewel of this region, and I wouldn't be surprised that people come here from all over just to experience it. And as you said, like, the main stage is outside, so they're doing all kinds of plays, but for me, I really remember the Shakespearean ones. And you're seeing it out in the woods, which feels appropriate. It feels authentic, you know? It's just like, okay, we're back in time. I'm thinking about the four humors. Like, I'm thinking about just the nitty-gritty, like, the sort of scenarios people would be, like, hanging out outside, and it makes it feel more authentic. But the performances were top-notch, and it's so intimate. Like, is it accurate they don't mic people?
They do not, yeah.
It's like you're just like right there experiencing this play in a way that I don't think I've experienced it at any other place.
Yeah, so the theater itself is sort of built into the hill in kind of a bowl shape, and it's designed to amplify their voices. So they are not mic'd, although there have been improvements in terms of accessibility for people who have hearing loss or people who need to be at different levels. There's accessible ticketing at every level, but the cool thing, there's always wonderful elements of like live music as well as recorded music. You'll hear the birds as you're out there underneath the stars.
Yes.
But the cool thing is, if you haven't seen the newer stage, the way that they've renovated it, it's more porous than it used to be. So there have been productions that open up into the woods that's like directly behind the theater. And it's like you can see all the way through to the back where the trees are back there, and they light the trees behind it. It's very cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like stepping into a movie because it's in the setting. And also, I just want to say, I've been watching Scandal. I totally miss Scandal, Shonda Rhimes' dramatic TV show. Not that anyone listening has to have seen it, but like Scandal, rewatching The Wire, like all of these popular shows that really draw people in, like have a lot of Shakespearean elements to them. So I bring that up just to ask, like, if someone thinks like, oh, I'm not necessarily into Shakespeare or plays, or they haven't had that bug bite them, like they're not theater obsessed, they're not obsessed with the stage, is there something to be had at APT?
I think the play that you're going to most vibe with depends on what you're looking for. So there are definitely, and we can get into the individual plays this season, but as I said, there's always going to be like a period farce or like a silly comedy. So if you don't want to think too hard, if you're like, Shakespearean language, I don't know, there's always going to be something for you that is in more contemporary language, right? So that's one thing. I will also say reading Shakespeare and experiencing it in high school or college is not the same as watching APT do it. It's funny. It's smart. You get so much. So the Midsummer Night's Dream that they opened the season with this year, this is their 11th production of Midsummer since they first started. It was the first play at APT ever. They've revived it this summer. And I think when you have audiences that come back consistently to your theater and you're putting something up that maybe some of the audience does have experience with, it means that they can play with it more. It's a lot of fun. Like, I will just say, don't be intimidated. It is really designed to entertain.
Okay, yeah, and since you've been covering this for like, what did you say, 18 years?
18 years, yeah.
That is incredible. You'd say you've seen Midsummer Night's Dream a few times and it still delivers in new ways for you.
Yeah, so this production is weird. Like, they're doing some fun things with it. So David Daniel, who directs this production, he's been in Midsummer multiple times. He has a deep familiarity with this play. He's having a lot of fun with it. He just threw a bunch of fun, interesting things in it. But the big thing I think about this Midsummer is that they have double cast the role of Puck. And so Joshua Castile is a deaf actor and Casey Hextra is part of APT's core company. And they are sharing the role of Puck and they're both signing it and speaking it. So they're having a great time with it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's how they're starting out the season. We know that. Next we have, it sounds like a pretty saucy one, Fallen Angels by Noel Coward. This one is a comedy where two besties apparently find out that they are pining after the same lost love. That never happens. Lindsay, you wrote for the Cap Times, quote, their sense of morality is as hazy as their vision after a fifth martini. Tell us what is going on in this show.
So at the beginning of Fallen Angels, we have two women who are both sort of bored in their marriages. Imagine you know how a rom-com ends and everybody gets together and it's like a happy ending? This is like 5 years later. Everyone's sort of bored, right?
Yeah.
They're not unhappy. It's just sort of bored. They're like, ugh, passion. It's so exhausting. So the husbands go off to play golf together, and the women, the two best friends, find out that this handsome paramour that they both had flings with before they were married is coming to London. And what are they going to do? Do they stay? Do they go? They don't know what to do. They get all dressed up and they have this dinner together and they get very, very drunk. And it's very funny. They have a pillow fight. They wrap each other up in the telephone cord. At one point, one of them tries to eat wax grapes. And I'm like, is she actually going to put that in her mouth? What's happening? There's a moment where one of the actresses is like, where are my shoes? And she's holding them.
It's giving Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how to describe what's happening to these women. And I thought, the word that we have for it now is dickmatized. They are enthralled to this mythical beau that they had.
Bewitched.
Yes, bewitched. They're swooning.
By the prowess, apparently, of this paramour.
I will say, Noel Coward wrote this play when he was 25. It premiered in 1925. It's like a 100-year-old play. And there's not a lot to it. Plot-wise, there's not a ton going on. But Phoebe Gonzalez and Laura Rook play the two women who are the best friends, and their chemistry is incredible. They're both wonderful comic actresses. And also, the set is beautiful. If you just want to see, gorgeous costumes and, all rose gold set and, a baby grand piano and the whole thing, it's a beautiful production. It's funny. You don't have to pay that much attention if you're like, what's really happening in the story? I'll answer you. Nothing. Nothing is happening.
Madness.
Right.
Well, I love the plot. Like you said, the plot is very simple, and that's probably why it stood the test of time. Looking for a new way to play outside? American Players Theater in Spring Green is Newsweek's 2025 Reader's Choice Award winner for Best Outdoor Theater Performance, and for a great reason. With 9 plays on stage, there's a story to suit any mood. You can see Shakespeare Under the Sky and Stars in the large outdoor Hill Theater, or a world premiere in the intimate indoor Touchstone Theater that offers climate control and no mosquitoes. Whatever path you choose, it's a unique way to spend time outside with your favorite people. Pack a picnic, because gas grills are available for your grilling pleasure. And enjoy hiking trails for a little post-meal activity before you see some world-class theater. It's time for you to see why the New York Times calls APT a, quote, Wisconsin treasure. Best part, dear friend and listener, you get 20% off your play tickets with the code CITY20. Plot your summer play date at AmericanPlayers.org and thank us later. Remember that amazing little cafe you discovered last summer with the perfect latte and crazy view? Or that sweet hiking spot your friend told you about but you can't remember the name? With Overlook Maps, special places never get lost again. Create personal lists of places you've been and want to go. Build your must-visit list for your next vacation, your foodie favorites for date nights, or your weekend getaways when you need to escape. Share your favorite hidden gems with friends and family. Let them discover that incredible barbecue joint you found or that scenic overlook that takes your breath away. Or keep your secret spots completely private. Planning a trip with friends? Create a shared list where everyone can add their ideas. Visiting a new city? Check out lists from locals who know the real gems, not just the tourist traps. And here's the best part. No ads cluttering your lists. No one selling your data to advertisers. Just your personal collection of amazing places organized exactly how you want them. Overlook Maps, collect, organize, and share the places that matter to you. Download free at overlookmaps.com and check out overlookmaps.com/Madison to see some of our lists and great spots on a map and in your pocket. Your places, your way. Moving on to the next play, Picnic by William Inge, with incredible costuming and set design as well. It kind of transports you to the 1950s, is what I understand. Lindsay, what is Picnic about?
So Picnic is set in the 50s, as you note. It's this shared backyard, and a handsome drifter comes to town.
All these handsome men coming to town.
I know. You know what? It's true.
Scandal.
We got handsome men coming to town. Russell Holt takes off his shirt. He plays the handsome drifter, Hal, and every eye on the stage turns to him. It's like he's got a magnet in his six-pack. It is a lovely moment. So people are like, oh, God, this is a beautiful man. He's in between jobs. They complicate it. So originally in the early production, I think everybody in the play was white. And now Hal is played by a black actor. So it complicates it that this is a house full of white women who are next to a black woman in her home. And they have a great relationship. They're neighbors. But then all of a sudden this man comes to town and he's turning the head of the daughters. And that feels different to everybody. And all of a sudden the Midwest Nice seems to have this undercurrent of racism to it. And like the text, I think, is so rich. And the way that APT is producing this play now, it feels like they've added this layer that fits with the original text really well and adds this kind of extra layer of complexity. But it's set in this small Kansas town. And you see these stories of frustrated love and frustrated women all throughout it. So I would say, I think Picnic is the strongest production that I have seen at APT, and they're all very strong, but Picnic is excellent. Brenda DeVita is directing it. She's the artistic director at APT, and it's just beautifully done. I would see it again.
Yeah, I want to say, sold. It's like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, like the racial dynamics in a Midwestern town.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds absolutely incredible. So Picnic.
Yeah.
Also running at APT is Art by Yasmina Reza.
Yes.
What can folks expect from what I understand is this dark comedy about friendship?
So Art premiered in the late 90s, and everybody did it for like a couple of years in regional theaters. Basically, Art is about these three friends. They're all in middle age. I want to say like 40s, 50s. And one of them has purchased a painting that is white. It's a big, huge white canvas. There's nothing on it. It's a white painting with white lines, but it's by a very, very famous artist. And so it cost, they just say, you paid $200,000 for this? It really sets off these latent tensions between these friends because they're like, the friend that I know would never have bought a painting like this. I don't know you anymore. And if I don't know you, do I know myself? I don't know. I will say, I think Art is really funny. And it's a really fun play. I think it's maybe 80 minutes long, no intermission. It's like straight through. These three actors, Marcus Trashinsky, Trini Sandoval, and LaShawn Banks, are all very gifted comedic actors. They're excellent. And seeing how they have to renegotiate their friendship, the thing that really stuck with me is that they all stay. And I think there are so many times in our friendships now where someone does one thing wrong or has like a political viewpoint that doesn't align with ours. Like something where we're not on the same page or we've grown in different directions and we're just so willing to write people off. And the fact that these three men, they like stay and they figure it out, it's gratifying, I think, and it's satisfying in that way. They end the play in a very different place than they started. And you're not at all sure if they're all going to be friends after this. But just seeing them work through it, I like the play Art, and I think that it resonates now, especially given like the conspicuous consumption at the core of it, right? The super expensive painting and like,
yeah,
what does that say about yourself as an art connoisseur and like where you position yourself societally, those kinds of things.
And the political landscape right now, just, talking about timing and like you said, how fractious it is and stepping in one direction could break a friendship. But also, I think money is so hard and values around money and people trying to understand who they are and who they are to the system. And if I'm full-fledged capitalist going for this thing and people are going to judge me, that does sound very timely for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another play that I am really excited to hear about is The Death of Chuck Brown by Gavin Dillon Lawrence. So we love Chuck Brown, the godfather of go-go. If you don't know what go-go music is, look it up. It's like soulful, percussive funk. It was born in the District in Washington, D.C., where the play is set at a barbershop in D.C. So can you tell us what this play is about and APT's rendition?
Yeah, so I'm going to be really careful with spoilers here because this is a world premiere. So Gavin Lawrence has been acting at APT for, I think, over a decade now. He's been a member of the core company since before the pandemic. He is not only an actor, he's also a playwright, but he really thinks of himself as like being actor first. So an actor's playwright. He's been working on this play for many, many years. It had a reading, I think, a couple of years ago, and then it was a Winter Words last year. So he's had a chance to develop it at APT. So it's in the Touchstone Theater, which is a 200-seat theater. It's the indoor one. It is set in a barbershop in 2012, which is relevant because they've got like a newspaper with Obama's win on the wall. And at one point, they're
it's a big moment.
Yeah. But instead of saying cheers, they say Obama.
Versus thanks, Obama, they actually use Obama's cheers.
Yeah. But it's The Death of Chuck Brown. The play itself is about gentrification in this specific neighborhood in D.C. So there's a lot of references to the streets around this barbershop and around like the area where they are and how it's gentrifying and that it's pretty unsafe. But as some of these new businesses come in, like a Starbucks has come in, and there's like a new coffee shop across the street, and someone throws a brick through the window of the coffee shop across the street, and the people aren't coming to the barbershop anymore. Like it used to be sort of a community hub, and the owner of the barbershop is trying to figure out like, am I going to sell this place? Am I going to cash in? People want to move to this area, but what is my role here as sort of a community hub, a place where people can come, part of the culture, right? And so he has a son who is a teenager who's going to the Quaker school where Obama's kids go to on scholarship, and his grades have been slipping, and that's a point of tension. And the kid's just like, I want to protest. I want to be out here doing these protests. And the dad's like, I need to keep you safe. And so there's all of these sort of tensions around it. I will say, and this is not a spoiler because they have been emailing people who have tickets to this show, and they've also posted something as you go in. This play includes some extreme graphic violence. And I think people need to know that going in and be prepared for it. I knew it was coming, and it was still really hard. It's a hard show. I want to put that out there. I want people to know that. That said, there are wonderful moments of poetry in it. There's some like elements of what I think of as like magical realism, where like this figure of Chuck Brown is sort of moving through the back parts of the stage. There are like some really wonderful relationships in it that are between like the barber and his son, and also like a man who he considers his brother. They've been really close for many years. Gavin Lawrence has talked about how he really likes writing plays and performing plays that get to Black male friendship and community among Black men, and showing these positive, very human, very real, like relationships that happen between Black men because of how much they're portrayed in media and in society as other than that, right?
Definitely. Yeah, it sounds like really powerful. And as you said, setting it on Black male friendships, it's set in a barber shop. And also, I started saying the fun of go-go music. I mean, the soul of DC and the people that live there, especially the Black population, like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of loss and serious issues and, violence. So that sounds like a really strong show to go to. But I'm glad that you gave the warning that you did. And it sounds like it's a world premiere. So it's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the shows that I understand you've seen already, which are a lot. And then there are some shows that you haven't seen that we're just going to touch on briefly, like the headlines, sort of what these are about. But there's one that's coming up later in the summer, briefly, Anna in the Tropics by Nilo Cruz. What's that one about?
So Nilo Cruz won, I think, a Pulitzer Prize for this. This play is about cigar rollers in South Florida. They are Cuban-American cigar rollers. They do it hand-rolled, like traditional
Lindsay,
hand-rolled
this
cigars.
season sounds so good.
Yeah,
Every
it's
single
really
one.
good. Yeah.
My goodness, every single one. Okay, I'll let you keep talking.
So it's these cigar rollers who are working in this factory, similar to sort of like the gentrification threads in Death of Chuck Brown. In this particular one, like the cigar rolling is being mechanized. So machines are coming in to mechanize, and they're still doing it this traditional way. And one of the things that they do is they bring in these readers. This reader comes in and he's reading stories to the cigar rollers as they work. So instead of having like music,
Real person audible.
It's a real person audible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he reads Anna Karenina. And so that's Anna in the Tropics, right? And his reading of this story really starts to like make some moves, especially among the women. Again, we've got the guy who comes in.
Storyteller.
Pulling on the women. It's a very passionate play. You know, there is some infidelity and some affairs that happen. There's unrequited love that happens. But you see sort of this cigar factory as being kind of this microcosm for how things are changing outside of it. And also for this very specific kind of immigrant experience in Florida. And it's such a rich setting. And the characters are all so deeply drawn. I'm really looking forward to APD's production of this one. They've been doing some really beautiful work with Latinx playwrights in recent years. And this really continues that thread of telling these stories that have sort of elements of myth and myth-making and storytelling and the way that that can move us in real lives. And I love this play. I hope everybody sees it.
This episode of CityCast is sponsored by Babbel. Learning a new language opens the door to new friends, new cultures, maybe even a whole new life. So why not start that journey today? You can start speaking a new language with confidence thanks to Babbel's conversation-based technique that quickly teaches you useful words and phrases about the things you actually talk about in the real world. I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and I've been learning Spanish with Babbel. Just one of the 12 languages you can learn with it, including Dutch, French, Italian, which is going to be next for me, Turkish, and Russian. I love the interactive dialogues that Babbel has, which allow me to practice what I've learned right away, and also the speech recognition function, which makes sure I'm getting the pronunciation just right, which honestly, usually I'm not. Also, I love that Babbel's lessons always cover actual things that I talk about in the real world, like food, talking to people I've just met, and also food. Staying motivated to learn a new language has never been easier thanks to real-time feedback, progress trackers, and handy visualizations in only 10 to 15 minutes a day on Babbel's mobile app or website. So get talking with Babbel. I want you to learn another language, so I'm teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Babbel.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
All of these sound absolutely insane in the best way. And just like, how about helping us understand the complexity of the world we're living in? Oh, right.
Yeah.
We got a couple more, but quickly. Tribes by Nina Rain. The play is starring Joshua Castile, who is deaf, and will be playing a deaf character who's learning sign language later in life. Lindsay, this one sounds so intriguing.
So this production is not exactly a remount, but it is the same director and several of the same actors who performed this play in 2017 in Seattle. So John Langs directed Tribes by Nina Raine. He was a company member. I think he was the artistic director out there. He's also been working at APT for many years. So this is again in the Touchstone Theater. This is the smaller theater. Tribes is about a young man who was born deaf in a hearing family. And I think this is the only play of the season that I have not ever seen anywhere. So my understanding of it is that his family has not encouraged him to use American Sign Language. They've encouraged him to read lips so that he can communicate with his hearing family in that way, and so they don't have to learn sign. I think he gets a girlfriend who does use American Sign Language, and it starts to make him think about his role not only in his family but also as part of the deaf community. There's going to be like a big weekend at APT where they're inviting people with hearing loss, people in the deaf community to come and enjoy like APT, see Tribes, see Midsummer Night's Dream, with Josh Castile is also in as one of the pucks.
I was wondering, you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. I think they're doing like a storytelling slam where it's with all sign language, and they're going to be doing some workshops and some different things, and they're having this kind of big event. They've also used something called GalaPro, which think of it as like closed captioning for a show, but it's like in real time. So those are really cool. But yeah, APT, I think, is bringing this production kind of in a new version from what John Langs and Joshua Castile did in 2017.
Wow. I mean, they are killing it. This sounds so phenomenal. Like you talked about accessibility. And just quickly to wrap this season, it sounds like there's another Shakespeare, The Winter's Tale, which will be playing into the first weekend of October. Just briefly, what's The Winter's Tale and the APT's approach?
Yeah. Winter's Tale is one of Shakespeare's problem plays. Right? So that means it's not a comedy, It's not a tragedy, it's not a history. So Winter's Tale is a problem play. The first half of Winter's Tale, we've got a king and a pregnant queen, and somebody convinces the king that his wife has been unfaithful. And so he shames her very publicly. She falls into a swoon, goes into early labor, and they tell him that she died. The servant takes the baby into the woods, and that's where we get the iconic line, "Exit pursued by a bear." In the second half, it's set in the woods and it's a comedy. Now it's a rom-com. You've got the baby is all grown up. She's 16 years old and she's a shepherdess, but she doesn't know she's a princess, and she's being wooed by a prince in disguise as a shepherd. So it's like this will they or won't they romance thing in people in disguise, and it ends like a comedy. And then, it sort of wraps up at the end, bringing the king and the queen back together because, she's not really dead, but there's like a statue of her. And they're like, apologize to the statue of the queen and maybe you'll be forgiven. And then, of course, she comes to life and, whatever. Winter's Tale is weird, so I think it'll be a good time. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do the bear.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the way that they take these different stories on and make it their own, but stay, true or have some fidelity to the original is just really peak. Like they're doing it in a very skilled professional way, which is exciting. We've talked about the shows. I know there's a shoulder season. People should go check out the schedule for sure. I do want to really quick talk before we wrap, about logistics and accessibility. You talked about that the parking lots are paved now, so that's even more accessible. But, talking about the campus grounds, there's the outdoor main stage. What's the layout like, and what notes are there for accessibility?
So APT, as I mentioned, has two theaters. There's the Hill Theater, which is about 1,100 seats. That's outside. You do want to bring, if it's later in the season, I will often bring a blanket or I'll change into jeans if I've been wearing shorts. You always want to bring bug spray for that outdoor theater. You'll see bats kind of swooping down, getting the mosquitoes as the lights go down. Very fun. I also, if there's rain in the forecast, it's really important to note for everybody, rain never cancels a show ahead of time. It doesn't matter how rainy the forecast is. It could have been raining all day. They will not cancel ahead of time.
That's good to know.
If it's the day before and it's 4 and you're like, you know what, tomorrow's weather looks really rough, I think I would rather not take my chances and drive out. You can move your tickets to anywhere. They're super flexible. Any other performance you want. It doesn't even have to be the same show. You can move it to a different show. If they make it to intermission, then you can exchange your tickets, but you don't get a refund. If it fully cancels, then you do get a refund. If they can't go up at all, then you'll get a refund for your tickets. So that's just something to keep in mind. I like to bring like a lightweight poncho. They do sell them there as well. And one of the things with the renovation, if you haven't been out there in a bit, is that there's now enough overhang space for everyone to stand and be dry while it's raining. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. They do play through light rain. I don't like sitting in light rain watching people act. Also, I'm like constantly worried they're going to slip.
That's not the tension you came for.
No. The funniest thing is when it's something like Raisin in the Sun and it's like set in an inside apartment. It's like raining on these people's apartment. It's very... it's very
magical
different.
realism. Or
Yeah. Anyway, so things people should know too is there is a shuttle. If you don't want to walk up the hill, there's a shuttle. The shuttle will take you to the Touchstone. It will take you to the Hill Theater. The Touchstone is air conditioned. So if you're going to a show in the Touchstone, bring a sweater. Even if it's hot outside, I always recommend bringing a sweater to that theater in particular because it just the difference in temperature can be pretty extreme.
So layers, people, layers.
Yeah, bring layers. They do have bug spray just like everywhere, just like sitting out. I usually tend to wear closed-toed shoes when I'm going up the hill just because the gravel can get under your feet and it helps with bug spray. They have grills out there. They have picnic tables. There is also an accessible picnic area if you're in a wheelchair or something like that. But there's wonderful picnic areas that are shaded and shielded from the rain. So if it is raining a little bit before you go up, there are places where you can still picnic. So I like to bring my own picnic stuff, but if you don't want to do that, you can order ahead of time. The Hubbard Street Diner does like meals you can pick up. And it's like a salad or a sandwich and like a little side, and there's like a brownie with it and whatever. And you can pick it all up and you can just take it to your area there. You can also go into Spring Green and have dinner at Reunion, which has reopened. They're like now a barbecue concept, which is delightful. It's fun to go into Spring Green. It's fun to go to the Frozen Local, which is like a lovely ice cream shop.
Yeah. Make a whole trip of it. Why not? Like go all in. And you could even like find a place to stay out there, right? Like
yes. I've stayed at the Spring Green Motel. It's very cute. I've stayed at the House on the Rock Resort. I would recommend the motel. I have stayed also at the Steampunk B&B in Spring Green. It's fun. If you want to just treat yourself, go into Airbnb, look for the Steampunk B&B. It's really fun. And it's like right in Spring Green. It's like walkable to all the things in Spring Green. And it's a vibe.
Oh my gosh. Lindsay, you are the absolute right person to talk to about American Players Theater and how to make the most of it. And hearing your, analysis of the different shows was so fun and fulfilling. And now I feel like I have to change my whole summer plans around and find out how to get to all of these shows. Lindsay, you're the best. Thank you so much for coming on and keeping us in the loop with the tips and tricks.
Thank you. I love talking about this.
That's Lindsay Christians, food and culture editor at the Cap Times. If you want to read more about APT's roster of plays for this season, head to our show notes for a link. That's all for today, here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, your host. If you enjoyed this show, why not share this episode with someone who loves a good drama or comedy? And don't forget, you can support our show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. My necessaries are embarked. Farewell.